Well, hi everybody, and welcome to this edition of Sports Talk. I'm Jimmy Allinder, and joining me is the athletic director for East Brunswick High School, Frank Noppenberger. Frank, as we always do, as the season concludes, and the fall 2003 season has just concluded. As a matter of fact, the winter season has already begun. We like to take a look back at the accomplishments of the various fall sports teams, have you comment on them, and perhaps pose a couple of other questions along the way, okay?
Pleasure.
Right.
Before we get started, let me just express on behalf of the coaches and the athletes, and certainly me, my appreciation to Channel 3 and you guys for all your coverage and helping out with the soccer, the field hockey, the football games, and of course the soccer games. We do appreciate it.
Well, on behalf of all the folks that participate on the EBTV side, I'll say thank you as well, because it is a real privilege. I'm coming to learn just how special high school sports are, having sons that have participated, sons and daughters, in high school sports. And then when it all comes to an end, then you really start to reflect a lot. So it's a great business to be in.
Yeah, I tell the parents that all the time when they're talking about, I don't know if he should come out or should she play, or you know, we got vacation time, we got to do this. I said, you're only in high school 4 years and it's quick, and you know, get involved, and you can always go on vacation, you can always do this, but those 4 years, it's so exciting for them, and there's nothing like high school sports, because you can lie about that the rest of your life, because you know, you move to a different state, they don't know.
Can I bring you over to talk to my wife? I had to rationalize with her all these years about vacations being postponed and that sort of thing, but and I know she appreciates what the benefit of high school athletic participation can be. And this was quite a fall for East Brunswick High School, as it always is every season. One of the larger Group 4 schools in the state of New Jersey. There's an array of sports and an array of champions, as the Bears have accomplished this fall. We start out with girls volleyball. With a 14 and 12, boy, they had a lot of
games. Yeah, that's typical though, Jim. Maybe a few too many. Maybe we did too much playing and not enough teaching. Maybe we got tired at the end. I know the girls are a little bit disappointed. I saw the look on some of their faces, like Jessica Castles at the end, who was our co-captain. She was also an all-conference performer. Losing in the semifinals of our tournament was it was not a pleasant experience for her. And so they were disappointed. They didn't win the GMC championship, but they did win the division. And that's something to be said. That's consistency throughout the year. But overall, I would say we were just where we anticipated, contending for the championship and maybe winning one. Jessica had a great year for us. Kathy Camage, another senior leader, had a good one for us. And then there's another young lady, Jennifer Strapko, who's a sophomore, who could be one of our better players ever. So there is a future there. There's a lot of kids playing club volleyball and outside volleyball to help the program along, and I'm confident that we'll be contending for a championship again next year, without a doubt.
Yeah, with Greg Rutz as the coach, he has a rich history now of producing quality teams, championship teams, on a statewide basis with East Brunswick, and perhaps that being the measuring stick for an East Brunswick team every year. There is disappointment when they don't challenge for the #1 spot in the state. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely, Jim. I was at the girls' soccer banquet last night, and you know, a lot of them indicated next year, you know, their goal was state champ, or in their speech they were saying they were disappointed they weren't state champs. And we were just a penalty kick away from being there. The team that we lost to in penalty kicks, Brick Memorial, was state champ. So we were that close, we were that good. And you know, when you get to the playoffs, sometimes it's luck. It's just a matter of a couple inches or one ball going in. But definitely all of our teams, the goal is state championship, conference championship, and like you said, trying to be #1.
Yeah, you talk about luck, you also can talk about weather and field conditions. And I know that the East Brunswick administration puts a lot into making sure that the kids play on really good facilities and I know that's a real, sometimes difficult task.
Well, we try, and we're not especially proud of the condition. It sounds like a setup of the varsity field, but it gets a lot of use, and it could be in better conditioning. And matter of fact, we're investigating some field turf or any of that. They call it AstroTurf, but it's not as an all-purpose turf, because we play field hockey, lacrosse, soccer up there, and we like to get the community involved, the entire community. So, you know, we're investigating that right now.
That's interesting that you say that, because I know that this weekend the high school, the state high school championships are scheduled, and right now they're kind of concerned about some of the weather reports that suggest that maybe snow, and right now they use Kean University and as well as the Rutgers field, and of course they could get booted out of there if the conditions aren't right. So I wonder if your thought process might also include the fact that having a field like this would also, you know, allow other teams to come and play championship games.
Well,
not East Brunswick as well.
Well, definitely East Brunswick, but no, that's, I mean, when you look at the big picture, and we like to look at the long range, certainly it's a way of generating some funds for East Brunswick, for the Booster Club, and any type of group that wants to sell concessions or whatever. So we've thought of that. It's more than just having a site for East Brunswick. There's a zillion things we can do off of that. But that's a completely different topic. Maybe we can do it at the end.
Sure. Let's get back to the fall sports and talk about boys cross country with a nice 6-1 record coached by Rick Murray and some really talented individuals on that team.
Rick was Coach of the Year, deservedly so. Rick is just an outstanding motivator and possesses a really keen knowledge of workouts, and he knows how to push the kids' buttons and motivate them. And, you know, last year we had a great runner in Alex Schatzgoff. The year before that, we had the Donovan kid. So it seems every year he's got one. This year it was Ryan Williams. Ryan's a senior, and who was pushing Ryan and maybe lost to Ryan 3-2 in the races was a junior named Greg Bull. So next year he's got a kid coming right in there, and then there's a Gilbert, and there's a sophomore named Danny Gilbert. So Rick Murray's really got a nice program going with the kids. Nick Rowan's another senior who did a great job for us. And at the GMCs, Jim, they have different categories. They have a JV race, they have the varsity race, they also have a 9th grade race, and other races. And this kid named Eric Sorkin, as a 9th grader, was the best 9th grader around. So Rick has really developed a nice program, and he's got each kid, one kid per grade that's going to be like an elite runner, and then you just need a supporting cast.
Yeah, is it a natural progression for these cross-country runners to move right into winter track and then to spring track?
They do. They do. It's if you're a runner, you're a runner. They enjoy it. Yeah. As I left school today, it's, what, 35 degrees out. It's wicked out there. They're out there running, and it's just, you know, it's part of the routine once you get it into your blood. And Rick does a great job motivating them, and it's going to carry off to over into the winter and definitely the spring seasons.
And of course, the girls' team had a 4-2 record coached by Mike Talbot. Talk about them.
Well, I felt Mike should have been Coach of the Year. He took a 2nd in the conference, 2nd in the division, had a real good year. Most outstanding runner maybe was Megan Donovan, who's a junior. And Mike's got a little different approach than Rick. He helps the kids out. Not that Rick doesn't, but he maybe is a little softer in his approach. And but he's got them performing and improving every year, and we're really happy. Coach came around, Talbot came around for us, and decided to teach and coach here because he's added something to that cross-country team that we were lacking for a few years.
And certainly we don't need to qualify the credentials of the field hockey coach, Cindy Todorov, who, as we've commented many times before in past shows, that this is one of the real heart and soul folks that really puts everything into and gets the maximum out of her team. Field hockey with a record of 14-7, and they had a great year. Yeah,
well, we said field hockey at East Brunswick and Cindy Todorov, who used to be Garbowski, goes hand in hand. There's no doubt about it. Cindy's done a great job with us. She's involved in the total program and couldn't be happier. Look, little disappointed, Cindy, was that we got knocked off in the semis of the county tournament, and then we lost also in the semis of the sectional tournament to Hunterdon Central. But, you know, we were there, and that's the important thing, the journey. We were there. And the kids' goal were to win the conference champion in Central Jersey, and that's, again, like you just said, being number one. They were a little bit disappointed, but they shouldn't be. They should reflect and remember that they overachieved a little bit, I thought, and that was a result of their tenacity out there and the dedication. It was really a dedicated group. We have young kids that are going to add to the program in the future. You've got like a Erin Whalen, who's a young kid who's going to be good. Christine Buszczyk, who's young. She's a sophomore, and a junior, going to be real good. Juniors, we got Julie Beck, who's been around forever. Amy Krunuski, who's been around forever, and certainly Katie McMillan. They were like the all-division, all-conference players for us. They provided some leadership, and more important, an example for the younger kids. So, you know, we're still working on a couple things. Maybe we'd like to get an 8th grade feeder program to help out, because, you know, there's no 5th, 6th graders playing like they are in soccer or possibly Pop Warner. Everything that's done is done through Cindy. So we're working on maybe a middle school 8th grade program.
You bring up a good point about the young kids coming up, and East Brunswick is in a fortunate position, as we mentioned up top, that it can support similar programs, and I use the word similar because the type of athlete that plays field hockey could also be playing soccer. They have to make an individual choice. And East Brunswick has successfully been able to funnel, you know, the girls make their own decisions, but they've been competitive in both sports. What about the considerations that you have to think about for adding another sport? I don't know. Are you ever approached by the members of the student body?
We're always being approached. I was approached about a fencing team the other day. I was approached every other year. I think it's a cycle for some reason. Ice hockey. The ice hockey issue is money, money, money. A lot of money to do ice hockey. Fencing is a winter sport, and the problem with the fencing is facilities and, you know, who you're going to compete against. You know?
Right. Are there other schools?
Not in Central Jersey.
Okay.
The Voorhees, North Huntington, Essex County, Milburn, up in that area. But we do run a club. Miss Regalato, who's been with us forever as a teacher. As a matter of fact, she's retiring. She used to coach for us. She's retiring in February. Sonny, best of luck.
That's great.
She was like one of our first softball coaches, was the first JV girls soccer coach for us. So she's been around and contributed to our program. Well, she runs a fencing club.
I see.
And got interest in there of the kids. But I'm not sure if we're ready for the next step.
Okay.
You made a good point, Jim. Yeah, there is support. We have the kids, and I think it's because the parents appreciate, understand, and want their kids to be involved in extracurricular activity, be it the band or the athletics or whatever. They recognize that, and they encourage it. So that's why we are able to support with numbers, you know, the different levels of teams, 3 levels of soccer, 3 levels of football, 3 levels of field hockey. And I think a lot to do with the parents and the encouragement. And I'd also like to certainly say it's the coaches attract them too. We have a good bunch of coaches that will that use their personality, and they develop a positive rapport. We do a lot of neat things from Marcus always has ice cream socials. They have other sports have pasta parties, and there's a neat way of developing the rapport, and all of our coaches do that.
You talk about football. There are some that say that fielding a competitive football program is becoming more and more difficult. Attracting enough athletes to support a program so that you just don't have 22 kids playing. You got to have more than that in case somebody goes down with an injury. Do you see that happening?
I see a little decline in numbers throughout the state and in the program, and I give that to is the specialization, which we talk about all the time, kids not wanting to play the more than one sport. But our numbers are pretty consistent. We have the kids that, you know, at the 3 levels, we actually 4 levels that we can field without hesitation. We've never canceled a game because of numbers.
Okay.
So, you know, well, speaking of football,
Yeah.
you know, Marcus and the team, a little bit disappointed. We only play around 8 seniors, and the juniors don't know if they stepped it up. Hard to tell. Middlesex County Red Division is very tough. We were in just about every game except one, and we played good defense. Brian Robinson had a great year for us at the Thanksgiving game. You know, Aaron Horace had a good game for us. We had good senior leadership with Mike Asiani, Greg Burns, James Correa. But it seems we were just short 1 or 2 plays. I'm not making excuses. I thought we could have won a couple games, and the kids know that too. But when you get you know, I don't want to say they're only juniors, because I don't believe in that anymore. They play so much football. But next year we're going to need Matt Mariano, our quarterback, to step it up, and guys like Johnny Park to continue to improve and get better.
Danny
we need
Fessel,
Danny, to you know, to get a little stronger, a little tougher, and Nick Dizak, our running back. I think he's got a good nose for running the ball. He's a tough kid, and you know, but he's got to get bigger and stronger.
Yeah.
He's got to be able to carry the ball a lot of times and take the pounding and maybe play both ways for us.
Right.
So, and you know, to be competitive in football, unless you have that natural athlete, you know, that speed burner, you're going to have to do it the way we have been doing it.
Right.
But there's nothing to be embarrassed about any of our athletic programs this fall, especially football, because in every game, and we were real close to making the playoffs, believe it or not.
They were, and I know the East Brunswick community is willing and ready to have a winning program.
Oh, we all are
at East Brunswick.
But you know, you recognize it. You go there, and the people that know, you know, realize that, you know, maybe the other team just got a little more talent.
It's very possible.
But we can deal with it as long as the kids are enjoying it, having fun, and we're improving, and everything's positive.
You're right. All right, let's move on to gymnastics. Again, a perennially successful program coached by Renee Cush. Pronouncing it correctly?
Yes.
Yeah. 7-2 this year.
We stumbled a little. A couple injuries or minor injuries hurt us a little bit there. Bishop Bar, we lost to. We lost to South Brunswick. Yeah, they were state champs. And then Bishop, South Brunswick, we stumbled a little against. But I invite all the people out there to come watch one of our gymnastics meets, because as much spirit as you see displayed by the cheerleaders or field hockey, it's that in gymnastics, and we don't get the big crowds, but they work as hard as anyone. Yeah. And, you know, we're pretty good. Diana Costa is one of our seniors, who was an all-conference performer, qualified for the state. She's leaving us. Elise Conquisto is coming back for us. So we have a few kids that are coming back. We'll be competitive. And as always, we will challenge for a championship. And that's where we want to be. We're in a position to challenge, and that's what we want.
Unique sport in the sense that I've observed that even though the girls are on different teams, they seem to have a lot of more respect for each other.
Well, that's because
that shows.
The gym clubs.
Yeah.
Because today, me and you are working at Weeder's Gym Club, working out side by side, and tomorrow we can compete. And I can cheer for you, and you can cheer for me. And because there's no physical, no body touching, you lose that animosity that you would get in a football or a basketball or a soccer.
Right.
And they really, so there's a great atmosphere at gymnastics meetings.
Sure.
You know, and we were talking about the cheerleaders do that too. Sorry to jump in there.
That's fine.
But
that's
the cheerleaders, you know, before every match, it's interesting, or every game, watch cheerleaders. They go over and they bring cookies to the other team, and they watch them cheer and they applaud, and the other team comes over and they do the same thing. And, you know, you talk about developing sportsmanship. They do a great job, all cheerleaders. And at the same time, our cheerleaders are pretty talented. We've had 4 All-Americans that I will tell you about in the winter show, because most of them will cheer in the winter. And our 2 captains, Megan Smith and Christine Tishio, provide a lot of leadership for us. And they probably participate in more games than any of the sports. Don't forget, we cheer all the soccer, boys and girls, and all of the football. Not all
Absolutely.
the squads throughout the conference do that. But we did a good job, our
That's
cheerleaders. And Coach Perduto, it's her first year as head coach, and congratulations to her on a good year.
Right. Quick word about the student trainers that Phil Hostler
They're the
puts
best.
under his wing.
Yeah, they're the best. Scott Passichow, Matt Redding, who's got like, I think Matt Redding took his SATs once, got like a 1,500 in it. You know, he's just a brilliant kid. And then Timmy Ackerman, who's our wrestler, he was involved in football, and Dan Gonchar did field hockey. And so thank you guys for helping out, and everyone appreciates everything you do.
We talked a little bit, we touched on girls soccer and its association sometimes with the fall sport field hockey. Lucosa, let's count up the number of wins he has. 16-4-2 this year, and again they were the GMC champions.
GMC champs, right.
That's tremendous.
And like I said, inches away, a penalty kick away from being state champs. And you know, as I talked to the girls last night at the banquet, I mean, we were so close. And I saw the disappointment on their face again after that. And that's good that they cried. It's good because that means you care, you know, and you know, you don't want the kids taking it to the nth degree about being all angry and upset. But if they get upset a little, I believe that's okay. That means that they really care about it. And they felt that they were a good club, and they felt they could have gone further. A couple seniors played very important roles, but a lot of underclassmen. Lauren Esposito, who was the Star Ledger Player of the Year by the county. She was an all-conference performer. She's a junior who's coming back. Lisa Chin's a senior, 4-year starter for us. She's leaving, scored a lot of goals for us. Katrina Miklik, who, in my opinion, could be our MVP, was just a fierce competitor out there. And she, at the at the banquet last night, just brought tears to my eyes, how she thanked her mom and dad for everything they've done for her. We'll miss her. And then we got some young kids who we're going to support. Too many to mention, and I don't want to leave anyone out, but it was overloaded with underclassmen, as Dan Hastings' boys soccer team.
Talk about them. 17-2-1 record.
17-2-1, and you talk about, you know, when they lost in their shootout the day after the girls or the day before the girls, the disappointment there, Jim, because it was one of our best ever. Just a dominating team. We ran into a team who was hot, kind of like the Yankees did. They ran into a team that was hot, and we just we answered them. They were up 2-0. We came back on them, and then we lost in penalty kicks. And they tasted success, and they knew they could be state champs. They lost the conference playoffs in the semis. They lost in a, or was it the quarters? They lost in a overtime, you know, like a fluke goal, sort of. So they had all their energy to the state tournament. And, you know, that they're upset, that's fine, that they care, but they were a pleasure to watch. A couple of the, Zach Simi, maybe one of our best all time, according to Coach Hastings. Rumor is he may be going to Rutgers. I'm not sure, but he's that much of a talent. Evan Loopsher, who was a leader on the field for us, controlled the middle of the field. I'm not sure where Evan's going, but he's another fierce competitor out there. Sophomores, I mean young kids, we have Josh Sims, who's a junior, who's an all-conference performer. He's coming back. We had a senior goalie, Frank Vetri, that did a great job for us, providing leadership, some great saves for us. And then another junior, Ricky Lasky. So as you see there, I gave you underclassmen and seniors.
Soccer going to continue.
Boys soccer is going to be real good again.
Same with the girls.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's going to be real good. There's a couple key things we may have to replace, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
Sure.
And girls tennis.
We got 2 minutes to talk about.
Girls tennis. Coach Grant, 14 consecutive years, GMC champ, Red Division champ. They were. They got upset, and they had a tie for the division this year. First time they've lost in like 147 games. They came back the second time and beat J.P. Stevens 3-2. So they're division champs and conference champs, 14th consecutive year. We were a little bit of an underdog this year, But we got some young kids. We got Louisa, who's an underclassman. Jenny Say's a great player for us. Christine Montanou was conference champ. Catherine Chen's coming back for us. Marin Rosenberg, who is just a fierce, fierce athlete. You've just seen her in the powder puff game. She was a conference champ coming back. And Anna Tarasova was our #1 player. As a freshman. She's a freshman, #1, and she was all conference. So we're pretty good, and we got a young kid coming up. I guess you can't give her a name because that'd be recruiting. But
she didn't move into town recently, did she?
No.
Okay.
But in the next couple of years, we're gonna be real good in tennis. Our boys will be good this year. As a matter of fact, Vivek, our #1 tennis player, he's committed to Miami on a scholarship.
Frank, you are a man most blessed because you happen to be the supervisor of athletics for East Brunswick, which just reloads. Every single year they seem to come up with the talented athletes. And it's
it doesn't happen by accident, Jim. It's just
okay.
It's not like we got the next kid. It's not like a North Carolina or a Duke in baskets. These coaches work their tail off, and the kids get a lot of demands put on them.
Sure.
And everyone's got to do it together. It doesn't happen by accident.
Okay.
So I just had to get that in there.
That's fine, and I think it's good to say that because we just see the results.
Right.
We don't see what goes on behind the scenes. All right. Well, I thank you very much for taking the time to come out and talk about this wonderful fall season. We're going to look forward to the winter season upcoming. It's already started, bowling and swimming, right?
Bowling's undefeated,
yeah.
Swimming's undefeated.
Great, great. Okay, that's going to do it for this edition of Sports Talk. For Frank Noppenberger, this is Jimmy Allinder saying thanks for being with us.